Good morning. Thank you. That was such a beautiful song. Thank you, choir. I got all emotional. Okay, well, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. And, if you're not here with us right now and you have made a decision to be with us online, I'm thankful for that too. Because it took conscious participation for you to be here. You made a choice consciously to show up today. And if you're showing up out online, you've chosen to watch this. And I thank you for that. Conscious participation. So, we make a lot of choices during the day, and some of them are not done consciously. As a matter of fact, if we look at it, a lot of them are not done consciously. So, my granddaughter, Aria, she's so cute. When she was real young, she would close her eyes, and at that moment in time, she thought she was invisible. I've got my eyes closed, you can't see me, ha-ha. And it was so cute, And then, that didn't last very long. She grew out of that quickly. Her consciousness changed. She came to the realization that we could see her. She lifted up in consciousness in that moment. And we have the opportunity to do that regularly. So I'm going to take us back because I started on page 2. So my conscious decision there. The time, huh? So it was just a cute thing. But anyway, so in choosing to come here, we also, like I said, make other choices. One of the things that we can also fall into is what's called a rut. We're all familiar with that terminology. It's such a routine. We do it day in and day out. We don't think about it. And when we're not thinking about something, we're not consciously choosing. We're not consciously deciding. We get up in the morning, we may eat, may not, go to work, and we know what we need to do. We know what's required of us. We complete the task. And we come home, and maybe, visit with family, friends, have dinner, relax, go to bed. We get up the next morning, do the same thing over. The cycle, on and on. And during that cycle, we tend to just put it in what I call autopilot, Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we don't ever make decisions during that time consciously. Because there are times that we do, but most of it we tend to just kind of go through the routine over and over. And by doing that, we are not bringing ourselves, our energy into those decisions. We are not participating in our own life. So what kind of results are we expecting? We wonder why, I can't remember what I did the other day. What was that again? That's because we're going through it without an awareness. We're not actually participating in our day-to-day life. Now, we can change that. And what if we want to change it? We're like, what could that look like? We start wondering. And as soon as we pose that question, our mind starts racing. Wow, wait a minute. What if I really participate and I'm consciously making these choices? Wow. And then we all of a sudden go, now how would I do that? How much investment are we talking here? What if when we first woke up in the morning, before we even got out of bed, or even opened our eyes, we just sat there in bed, laid there, and just consciously chose to connect to God, to connect to Source, and asked to be awake and aware throughout the day and feel God's love and light moving through us and help activating our decisions. Pretty simple. Doesn't take a lot of time. I'm still up, same time, yep. Hasn't taken me off any of my tasks, but what it might do is change my day. Now, when I get up and I go to work, I've got a little more zip in it. I notice that this, Cindy over here has a great idea. And you know what? That idea has sparked something in me. And now I'm building on top of her idea. I'm experiencing collaboration with my coworkers now, where if I wasn't here, I would not. I am now actively participating in my world. And you know that when I get off work and I go home now, instead of being kind of tired and like, yeah, okay, my friend's family, I have to do this. I need to spend some time with them. Instead of being in that mindset, my mindset has now changed. Now I can actively participate with them. I can bring my life and my input into that activity. And don't you know that's got to affect the whole dynamics? That's got to lift everything in that moment. It creates a connection with our loved ones and allows us to grow in that moment. So this small little action that takes next to no time at all, I can start seeing a payoff almost instantaneously. And as I do that each and every day, you know we're going to see it expand. It's going to work through all aspects of our lives. Now, we come to this world to create as humans. Our human life allows us to learn about ourselves and who we are. We start off learning, again, as children, automatically. Come into the world, we're ready to learn. We're ready to take on life. And my other granddaughter, Riley, have any of you guys ever watched or tried to feed a baby? How interesting that can be. Especially when they don't like something. You put that spoon of food in their mouth, and they're like, oh, no, I don't want anything to do with that. And you usually come out, and you try, okay, well, this is the first time. We're just going to try it again. And you put that spoon back in a second time, and it's like, nope, I'm not having any of that. Okay, just let's try one more time. And you put it in there, and oh, my gosh, who knows what's going to happen. I've seen it come out with force. You know what I'm talking about there. We know right away as children what we do not like, what we do not want to experience. But in the same time, my granddaughter Riley, on her first birthday, we put her in a high chair, and Mom had the little tiny cake for just her, and you set that cake in front of her. And oh my goodness, she's like, this is interesting. What's this? First time. It's like, wait a minute, and we can have a little bit more. And next thing you know, her whole face, she is like in that moment, just experiencing and enjoying it, taking in every bit of it. This is new. And it's like we were taking pictures, we were talking to her. She didn't hear us. She was into that moment in time. It's so great to see children do that. But what happens as we grow up? We start hearing people talk, and we get these comments like, you shouldn't eat dessert that often. Maybe you shouldn't go over there because you know what's going to happen if you do. And we hear these opinions and criticisms, and we start taking them in. And what happens when we become adults is we've taken them in so much that it colors our humanity, our choice. We stop making those choices of free will. It actually stops us from having the experiences that we want as human beings. And that's what we came here for. We came here to experience, to grow. And now we have just throttled back on that whole situation. Why? Because we're looking to the outer. We're worried about what everybody else is going to think or say about what it is we're doing. Oh my goodness. If we're throttled back, how much can we create? We can learn so much from our children, learn that free will. So when we're in those moments, we may want to ask ourselves, do we want to live their life or do we want to live our own? Do we want to experience the things that might bring us joy, even though someone else may look at it a little like, that's strange? Some of our most accomplished humans have been outside of the norm, shall we say. And I was looking at different things in something more current, and I came across a gentleman that in his country, he has gone out and bought bamboo plants. He's planted 1,400 or more bamboo plants out and created this forest because he noticed that the wildlife in the area was suffering from all the development. They didn't have the shade they needed. They didn't have the food, and he's like, what is it that, I can do to help them? He had this concern to support them. And so he took it upon himself. And darn well, his neighbors are going, look at that fool. He's going out there with another plant. What does he think he's doing? You know what he did? He created a forest and brought in the animals, the local animals, and from bringing in them, they created a whole ecosystem. One man did that. That's awesome. And why? Because he was listening to his inner guidance. I found another gentleman, we hear about our honeybees, and we depend on them to pollinate our crops, so that we will have food. Oh my gosh. And we have concerns about them, and I know a lot of us here are concerned about them. But he listened to his guidance, and he actually relocated over 30,000 endangered bees so that they could thrive. Now, I don't think any of us are doing that, but we're not necessarily called to do that. That might not be ours to do. But like I said, he listened to his inner. Instead of always listening to the outer and what others may think about us, quit throttling back on your human experience. Go within. Listen to your guidance. And if you're told to do something, do it. It doesn't matter. So somebody thinks you're a little kooky. So what? How much payoff are you going to get in return? These men support not just themselves from their guidance. They support all of us. Having that forest supports the whole. Having those bees supports the whole. What are we doing to support our fellow man? Relationships. We are in relationship with everything. You realize that? Concepts, objects, people, you name it. Everything we do is in relationship. But the question is, what is the energy of those relationships that we have? So, an easy one to look at is our work. Some people really enjoy it. They go to work. It feeds their nature. Their relationship with their job is stimulating to them because they create. Maybe they find out or discover a new way of doing something that saves time and money. Or maybe they're doing research that creates something new that will support all of us in the long run. Maybe they are creative artistically. And they allow that artistic energy to flow through them. And they come up with this beautiful, beautiful creation that when everybody looks at it, they just feel the peace and love that must have gone through the person that created it. It's beautiful. Another relationship is family and friends. Now, those relationships are full of an extreme amount of dynamics, so it makes it really hard to see the energy, the true energy, or the Christ and love in those relationships at times. And that's because each one of us create our own world. So we're over here and we're like, oh yeah, I like my world this way, and I want it to be like this, and then later on like this, and then like that. Yep, that's exactly how I want it. my specifications. And then we have a family member or a friend that says that's over here, and they're doing the same thing, right? They're creating their world and making their choices, but their choices are like this and maybe like that. Okay, so they're a little different, fine. But when we come together, unfortunately, one or both cannot accept the choices of the other. And when that happens in relationships, we experience disharmony. And unfortunately, we see that happen a lot. We see and hear about it, maybe experience it. And what would be great is if we could see that others are only doing the same thing we are. We want to create our own world. We want our world to look a certain way, and that's exactly what they're doing. And if we could see and know that that's their choice, because we don't want somebody to tell us, nope, you can't choose that because it doesn't align with my choice. When we start honoring the choices of others, then we are able to come into harmony in relationships. When we're young, these little kids, they pick up on everything. We're sponges. It may take us a little bit to go back, but these kids that are coming up now, if we show them that it's okay to express in your own unique identity and make your choice, and I can be over here and express in my own unique identity and make a choice, and we can be in a great relationship harmoniously, then the future is bright. We know that they're going to grow up and have a life that relationships are not going to be an issue necessarily for them. That they can see the possibility and honor the choices of those around them. I know I'm jumping here. You guys just hang on for the ride. We are going somewhere. I want to talk about increase now. When Jesus came to the world, he brought love. He brought that love and it spread across the world. We saw an increase of care and concern from our fellow man, where prior to that, it was more about survival. Everybody was out for themselves, and if you didn't take care of yourself, you might not survive. Because the neighbor down the street, he wasn't worried about whether you had bread or not. He's worried about whether he's got bread. And when Jesus came into the world, he taught us to love each other as we would love ourselves. He taught us to have care and concern for our brothers and sisters, that there's more than just self. We are all connected. We're not individual. We may individually express, but we are not individual at all. And when he revealed that, we experienced cooperation. And that was awesome. We started working together. There was an increase in love and concern, compassion for our fellow man. And since that time, we've seen other increases. And, at that time they were riding horses and camels and donkeys to get around. Well, today we get around in trains and cars and planes. And because of those instruments and vehicles, we are able to travel the world. We actually can see other cultures. This increases our ability to accept and connect to others that might not be the same as us, that might have different choices than we have. Think about the phone. Now we talk to people down the street, or we can talk to somebody the other side of the world. It doesn't matter. We have the ability to connect so much more than we have in the past. Same with computers. Computers, we can pull up information that we've never had access to. We've seen increase throughout our lives in all different kinds of areas. Now, I want to move to spiritual. So, hopefully, we connect to Jesus. We call in Jesus and asked that He walk with us during a time that maybe we're having an issue. You know, we close our eyes and just say, Jesus, I need you beside me as I go through this, you know, and you can feel the energy, the love and support. And if we want to feel our divine connection to God, we'll connect to God, set the intention, let that energy run through us. We call in our guides, our teachers, our angels, and ask for their support during the day. Life is very different than what it was when Jesus came to the world. Our spiritual connection is so much greater. You know, before Jesus, God, you had the wrath of God. Now we have love of God. When we think of God today, it's all about love and relationship, honoring, being connected. Today, the world is a lot more loving and peaceful because of this. Our ability to connect is so much greater. Spiritually, we know that we can create our own world. We can connect and make choices. Sometimes it takes a little bit of energy, a little bit of intention, but it's possible to make those changes. And when we do make those changes, we call it transformation. Transformation happens when a current belief that we hold has been changed. We lift up to a higher consciousness. And, you know, as we become adults, it doesn't happen as often. And I think that's because we think we've got the world down. As children, we're always transforming. And then we hit the teens and we slow down. And then we come into adulthood and it's like, okay, I got the world's number. I kind of know. But in reality, what we have is a foundation to transformation. And if we keep our hearts and our minds open, we can experience transformation throughout our lives. So, next would be love. Love moves through us and into us in so many beautiful ways. And I'm not talking necessarily the love of couples that couples experience. I'm talking about our Christ love, our love for our fellow man, brothers and sisterly love. You know, it's a totally different experience. And I'm talking about like your best friend, that love that you have for them. You're so close to them that they almost become a part of you or an extension. You know, you'll do anything for them because you feel their Christed nature within you. I had a beautiful experience here a couple weeks ago in a class. I was just connected with this person, and I was saying something. You know, I was trying to give an example, and in the example, I caught myself truly connecting with this person, eye to eye. And I said something along the line of, you know, I see your Christ. I love the Christ within you. I honor your Christed nature. And boom, I went right into that connection because I was being honest and I wanted to demonstrate that, but I didn't realize how much I was going to go into that energy. It was so transformational. And in that moment, it was as if time stopped and there was nothing but divine energy. And it felt like I was there for an hour when it was just seconds. If we could get to the point to where we can connect with each other and honor our divinity in each and every one of us, the world could be so different, so different. So I want to thank you guys for riding this ride. You know, it's definitely different probably than what you expected. But what I've talked about today is conscious choices human expression, relationships with everything, increased thoughts and ideas, spiritual connections, transformation, new understandings, which brings us to love, our divine nature. And this is how I found Christ love. Conscious human relationship increases spiritual transformation, bringing us into love. And I just thought that was such a beautiful little expression. And I know you guys sitting there listening to me jump from each thing, you're going, how is this Christ love? But this is what Spirit gave me, and I felt like I needed to share this with you. And I hope that you get a little something from it. I love the acronym, and it's something that might cause us to stop and take a look at what it is we're doing, what our actions are, and how we can connect more to our Christed love. So, would you like to lock that in? We can close our eyes and do a meditation. And just feel God's love and light come over you. God, we thank you for this lesson, and we ask to anchor it in. We want to feel God's love moving through your crown chakra and just feel it going down into your heart. And as it moves down into the heart, I want you to enter your garden, taking your love and your light. And as you enter that garden, Jesus is there waiting to take your hand. You move through your garden. And as you're moving through this beautiful space, I want you to see a tree. And that tree is filled with energy. As you move closer to it and standing in front of it, I want you to realize that it's holding the energy in it of your consciousness. Just notice what that energy looks like. The color, the shape. And then beside that is your human energy, what you bring to the world to experience. What does that look like in the tree? And take a step around to the side. And now you see the energy of relationships just floating in that tree, beaconing out. Just observe. Next to that is increase. What does your increase look like? The form. And you take another step around the tree. And there is the energy of your spirit, that divine spirit within you. See it beaconing out of the tree. Notice its attributes. Now you're coming back around the tree. And there is transformation. Your transformation. You may see yourself at different aspects, different times in your life. Now I want you to take your vision down the trunk of the tree. And in the center of that trunk is love. And what does the energy of love look like to you? Know that that love is supporting all these other energies above you. Now I want you to see a watering can off to the side. It's filled with water. And as you move over to it, Jesus is still by your side. I want you to send your Christed love. I want you to infuse that energy into that water. As Jesus is beside you, sending his love to you, just feel all of that love moving into that water, infusing that energy. And now take that can of water, and I want you to water your tree with your Christed love. And just see that water soaking in, and the roots are taking it up. All that love and support. You are feeding your Christ love in this moment in time. It is here for you to come back and observe and see the changes that have been made. I want you to thank Jesus for being there with you. Send your love and light to the tree. And know the next time you see it, it will be transformed. And it's time to come back. You move back through your heart, back up into your body, and feel yourself in the chair. Take a breath and open your eyes. Thank you guys for playing with me today. Yay, God. Yay, God.